Welcome back. We have in studio with us somebody that I think you will recognize from a huge sitcom just a few years ago. Not Little House on the Prairie, no. Full House. We're here with Candace Cameron. Candace, welcome.
Hi,
Candace,
thank you.
welcome. How are you?
Thank
How you feeling?
Good.
Most people watching know you, I would guess, know you from that sitcom. So it's always like, wow.
Oh yeah,
and here she is.
It's still on several times a day, and it's great. And there's just generations of fans at this point, and little kids that are 5 and 10 think it's a brand new show today.
But
so
you're the
it's
only childhood star, who hasn't been in rehab 40 times. Do you realize that?
The only one.
You're the only one.
Only
You're
one.
the only one. Look at her, just fresh as a daisy.
And sometimes it is hard to make that transition, right? From being an 80s star child, and everyone is like, oh, we don't.
Shirley Temple never made that transition.
Shirley
That's
Temple
true.
is not even here, honey.
She never made that transition. It's actually true. It's a hard thing, and you've done it successfully.
Thanks.
If you don't mind us saying
Thank you.
so.
No,
Yeah.
thank you. I appreciate that.
But I understand that Hallmark Films, you do many films with them. Now, it's not just like a faith-based, it's like family-friendly show.
Yeah, I mean, the Hallmark Channel is
Channel.
wonderful. So you know when you're turning on the Hallmark Channel that you're having family-friendly movies or television shows. I mean, that's what their channel represents. So I love working with them, and I've done many films for them. And my latest one was just on last month called Let It Snow. Great Christmas movie. And I'm working on my next one that I'll be producing and starring in later this year for Mother's Day. It'll be a Mother's Day
And
film.
you're producing.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah.
So, what do you prefer, being in front of the camera or behind the camera? Which is
Because right now you're in front of the camera.
you're in front of the camera. If you didn't know.
Sorry to break it to you.
I love being in front of the camera.
Yeah.
I've been in front of the camera since I was 5 years old, and I love acting. I'm so passionate about it. It's just a joy for me to be on set. But to have longevity in this industry, I don't only want to be an actress. That's why I've become an author. That's why I've become a producer. And I like having a hand in the films and projects that I'm doing, and get to really come behind the creative process of that and doing what I enjoy best, and that's creating something that's good and entertaining and that families will love to watch together.
And as you were saying that, being a powerful woman and doing all of these things. Now, are your children in the industry? Or
They're not.
How do you feel about
steer them away from it in any way? But my boys, my husband is a retired hockey player, and my boys want to be hockey players. That's the goal for them. So they don't care about entertainment or Hollywood or being actors or anything like that. My daughter, who's 15, she has a beautiful voice, so she loves to sing, and she's done a little bit of acting, but that's not her main focus. But I'm all for it if that's what she wants to do, because obviously I have navigated through this industry for 30 some years, and I really love it. That's why I'm here today. So I wouldn't sway my children not to be in that, but would help guide them as my parents did, and you know how to work around it. Yeah.
And I think that's so powerful to say, because sometimes, especially people of faith are terrified of no, it's, I don't want you to be exposed to that. And I think, how do you find, if your child, as you, like you said, your daughter wants to be, if she wants to continue singing, how do you set that foundation for her? And saying, these are your core values.
Right.
But this is also...
I think it's the same way you would as a parent, regardless of what field of work or what line of work you want your children wanted to go in. So I don't think the entertainment industry is any different. I mean, if my daughter were in that, she's not going to face, I think, more than maybe my boys would, being a professional athlete. They're just going to have different things come up that might be hard for them. So anyway, I mean, parenting's all about daily teaching, right? It's investing in your children, and it's being just focused and committed and knowing your values beforehand and your foundations of what you want to raise your family upon. And for us, that's God and the Bible. And,
Okay, speaking of which, how did you come to faith? How old were you? What happened that made you passionate about your faith?
Yeah, I actually wasn't raised in a Christian home, which a lot of people kind of assume
Catholic.
that I
I'm a recovering Catholic, actually.
I'm raising my daughter in a Christian home right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Hopefully.
I'm raising mine in one too. But yeah, I went to church for the first time at 12 years old, and my parents were having a really hard time in their marriage and were separated, and a friend had invited the whole family to go to church, and that kind of started our journey. And I have two older sisters and an older brother, and most people know my brother, Kurt Cameron. We all came to faith individually in our own time, and you know, but really in my early 20s is when it became important to me and became the walk that I wanted to live, and I wasn't just riding on the coattails of my mom or my brother or my sisters.
Did that, when you found, when you had that experience, did you find that it like changed on how you picked your roles? Did it affect you in picking your roles, especially, you know, being a woman of faith and just being a woman, right? Because roles come and they're pretty raunchy these days. Did it affect it?
Sure, they can be. You know what? I never really had a desire to be that woman that's like, I want to be the complete opposite of myself, and I really want to explore really dark things in my life. I've kind of never been that person.
That's because it's a real cliche, so I'm really glad you didn't opt for the cliche. I mean, how many times do we hear this? I mean, going back to Julie Andrews, she was in The Sound of Music, and then she decides, you know, I want to go topless in my next film. And so it's wonderful to hear that you didn't feel the need to do that.
I think that is that difficult transition from child actor to adult actor, and that's how a lot of people feel that they need to reinvent themselves to look like an adult, and I never wanted to do it that way. And so I really liked the wholesome values that I was brought up with within my family, and I wanted to continue that, and being a good role model was always important to me. And so I don't even know what the original question we were talking about, but
what is the capital of North Dakota?
Yes, ask my 4-year-old nephew; he will know.
Right.
No, I was just asking you. You know, once you had that experience and you were like, I'm going to live, you know, my life as a faith.
Right.
Was it harder? Or was it easier for you to just make those decisions?
It wasn't harder or easier, but it definitely, my faith, you know, it is who I am. So it plays a vital role in the projects that I choose to do. So even though I've always wanted to do things that are more wholesome, more family friendly, whatever you want to call that, I mean, I look at it in an even probably more detailed, specific way when my faith plays a factor in it, or now that my faith plays a factor in it. And
you say you have 3 children, right? Okay, and
kids.
so you are a producer. She's an actress. You're a mother. You're a wife.
And you're going to sing for us?
And an author.
And she's going to tap dance.
Yes.
How?
I am.
How do you balance it all? Like how do
I balance it all?
Yeah, how do you balance it all? Okay.
That would be the title for a great
That would be a book.
I was going to say, before we get into that,
I should write that book.
you might want to tell the folks that you've written a wonderful book.
And now you're an author.
With a title.
I'm an author, yes.
With the title is?
Balancing it all.
What a coincidence.
Yes.
That's extraordinary.
I know.
She didn't even know that when she said balancing
So
it all.
this is kind of a follow-up to my first book, which was called Reshaping It All, and that it talks a lot about faith and fitness and
so you weren't
food.
Talking about the body after a baby, reshaping it all, huh?
Well, it's reshaping it all. It's the body, but it's a lot of the mental up here of reshaping it all.
Yeah.
So it's a follow-up.
So now my second book is Balancing It All. So it is about my stories of juggling priorities and purpose, and it's it's written and very autobiographically in that it takes you through my journey in life and all those pivotal moments where decision making really shaped who I am as a woman and a wife and a mom, and how you manage to balance those things. But
why do you think women have such a difficulty with this? In other words, this is such a hot button topic, so that, you know, I saw your book, I thought, that's it. I mean, what woman today is not asking herself, how do I balance it all? How do I do that?
Yeah.
Why do you think today that is so hard?
Because I think that I think we can look at one another and we aren't satisfied with just being one thing, because we see people, we're juggling so much. I mean, there's, when we have children or a husband and then want a career and yet some women who choose not to have a career or be a stay-at-home mom or a homeschooling mom, it's like there are things that make us feel like we're not valuable enough, or we don't measure up to that woman that is juggling 10 things in her life.
Well, especially with social media, because everyone is on Facebook, they're putting a different face.
You're putting out your best.
Something and you know, you're like, oh, today is amazing. Meanwhile, you wanted to just like strangle your child. Don't do that.
And by the way, speaking of Hollywood and balancing it all, I mean, it needs to be said, a lot of the families in Hollywood, they've got like 12 nannies and, 9 governesses and all kinds of every child has his own gardener, And the thing is, you're not like Angelina Jolie, who's like adopted. It's like 42 kids now or something like that, one from every continent.
Praise
but the
God
thing
that
is,
someone has
you're the opposite of that. I mean, you're in Hollywood, you're successful as an actress, but you're really doing this on your own. You're really actually raising your kids on your own. You don't just have staff that you farm out the kids to.
No, I don't have any staff. Some days I really wish that I did have staff, but I don't have any staff. No, I don't have a nanny or a chef or a driver.
No
I don't
chef?
even have a personal
You don't have a
assistant.
plastic surgeon. What is wrong with you?
I don't have
Right there, just.
I couldn't live without our 3 chefs.
I know.
Right.
My nutritionist is right. She's waiting for me in the room.
So the point is, you're a normal person. You're
I
kind
am,
of like,
and I just happen to work in entertainment.
Right. But that's rare.
I've been doing that. So that's all in my book too. But you know what? Here's the thing, and I talk about this because I don't feel that I'm any better of a person because I don't have people helping me. I do have people helping.
You don't feel that
I
way.
just haven't paid for help because it's like my parents help me, my husband helps me, my friends help me. We all need help. Like it really does take a village.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
So
definitely.
We were just saying this. Like I would not be able to do anything that I'm doing today just without my parents. Like they'll stay with her, and the safety that okay, she's with my parents. I know they're gonna love my child.
You know that your kids aren't going to get more messed up than you are.
Exactly.
Right.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Now, I was watching you on TV, and there was an interview, and this woman, it was like this uproar about the word submissive, right? And she was just, I just don't understand. What do you mean by submissive? And I was thinking in my head, like, oh, I'm submissive. But I'm a powerful woman. I think that there's power in being submissive, but people don't really understand that they take that verse out of context and don't read the ending part of it. It says where the husband is also submissive. Why do you think there was such an uproar?
It's funny because we all are submissive people in that we have to submit to authority, government, laws, our bosses. We do submit every day, but I think that
we're also, by the way, supposed to submit to God.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that people don't like being told what to do. So that word is offensive right away. But when we look at really the biblical definition of that word, it means to obey meekly. Meek is strength under control. It's bridled strength.
In the original Greek, I'm Greek, so I know that is. That's actually true, though. People don't know that. That meekness, our view of meekness is very different from it. It means strength. It's like you think of a powerful horse under control. I mean, it's bridled power, totally different from lack of power.
Exactly. So I talk a little bit about that in the book because I talk about my marriage, but my book is not a marriage book. But my husband and I choose to submit our lives and our marriage to God. But within that, my husband's the leader of our family, and I love that. I love that. He leads us, and I feel that I'm the heart, I'm the love and the nurture in there, and
say that.
And so it's a perfect balance and
mix. It is so
mixed.
countercultural. It's just tremendously countercultural, which all the more reason that I'm thrilled that you wrote this book, because people are just, as I say, people buy into these cultural cliches. It's everybody's got to be empowered or whatever, as if. What you're talking about is not what it's
and the
a
truth
beautiful
is,
thing.
I couldn't be an actress and a producer and an author and have 3 children and a 17-year-long marriage if I were a woman that was subservient and didn't have a voice.
But if you think about it, someone has to lead, right? You can't both be like,
two people can't be sitting driving a car at the same time. But you can have the navigator telling you where to go, what to do.
But even the woman being, like you just said, so powerful, which I love, and I always say, I feel like I am the heart, and my husband is the head, and together when we're working, it is like unison, and it's powerful.
I'm the kidney in our marriage.
You are.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'll break that down after later.
I know. That's the after show talk right there.
I don't know. In the book, Balancing It All, what are some key points women can learn from, or just anyone who picks up the book?
But don't say too much because they won't buy the book. So
Sure, okay, just a tidbit.
Let me give you a trailer.
You know what? I think I really wrote this book in through my own journey, and I think it's important for women to realize that none of our lives are going to look the same. So balance is different for everyone else, and we don't have to compare ourselves to one another. And shouldn't. And because if you have 3 things that are very important in your life, then you invest in those 3 things really well, and not look at the other woman that might be juggling 10 things and think that you have to do the same as the other. I think when women realize that we don't have to compare our lives and ourselves to one another, we will have a big sigh of relief and go, just invest in the things that that God has given us to invest in, and do that well. But I talk about things that, again, are important to me in my life that help me balance. One of those things are charitable works. I mean, philanthropy is so incredibly important to me and my family, and something that I do along with my children. It's so important that we have fun as adults.
Fun, absolutely.
You have to have adults. You forget to have fun. Yeah, I mean, not to the detriment of your family, but you need those girls' nights out. Even though my husband is incredibly important to me, but sometimes my husband doesn't want to listen to everything.
Exactly.
So it's that's what our girlfriends are for. And and I talk about even more stuff with children and school and discipline and all kinds of things. But I think it comes down to really, knowing what's valuable and important to you and your family, and looking at those things. I think that will naturally when they overlap, it'll create a balance in your life that's right for you.
And it's amazing because any woman, even, no matter what faith you are, we're always trying to balance. We're always trying to balance. So you can just pick up this book, and it's refreshing, and it's empowering women.
It's empowering.
I know you don't like that.
It's a
but
cliche,
she's empowering
but
because she
you
just
can
empowered
say it.
me,
You can say
and
it.
I feel powerful right now.
I know. Before we go, we got to go in a few seconds. Are you willing to dish any dirt on the Olsen twins on camera right now?
Not at all.
Good. That was the right answer. That's okay. That's okay. You can read it in the tabloids. We don't need it on TV, right?
She don't gossip.
Okay. Okay. Well, really, I have to say, as a man, it's encouraging to me that you seem to just have a very healthy approach to this, kind of a down-to-earth. You don't look down to earth. You look beautiful in Hollywood, but you have a down-to-earth soul, and that's needed. So thank you for being with us, and
You're welcome.
success
Thanks
with
for
this
having
wonderful
me.
book, Balancing It All.
Go check it out.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Thank you.